Hello everybody, happy Wednesday, it's me Lemoni, and today I'm going to have my top 3 Tuesday on a Wednesday video, but unfortunately I'm not going to be covering the blunderbuss. I've been being asked a lot about gear, healing gear, PvP healing gear, constantly. Like in the last 24 hours, probably like 10 different people have asked me, what should I use, what do you do? So today, I'm going to give you my top 3 PvP healing gear sets, and I'm going to talk about my gear set, and then I'll just cover general PvP healing stuff. All right, so I'll give you 3 sets, we'll cover it all, I'll give you the pluses, the minuses of each one. Before we get into the video, please keep doing that weird YouTube stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, tell everybody you know. I'd really appreciate it. And if you want to support me directly, feel free to leave a comment, join the Discord, hit up Patreon, TikTok, Twitter, and if you want to join the Twitch, we've been doing a lot of fun stuff, a lot of war content. I'll be streaming today around 11 a.m. Central Time. Now, let's get into the first gear set. All right, people, I think the first thing we should cover is what loadout do I actually use? I always use light. I think light in PvP is the king, to be honest. For healing, you are so slippery. You can get away from people. You have a ton of healing output. And then you just sit there and kind of finesse your con as you want it, right? You want to play 5 con, get all focus gear, play 5 con. You want to play 50, 100, typically I play around 100. I just think light is going to be your best option, and that's why I'm going to suggest light for every single loadout in the healer role. You can definitely play heavy, you can play medium if you prefer it, but I think to be slippery, to play really well with the rapier, and to have enough healing output to save people getting hit by these grav wells and all kinds of AoE, you need to have a light loadout on, personally. Alright, so gear set number 1 is Freedom Gear. If anybody doesn't know what Freedom Gear is, it's going to be a perk that removes slows, stuns, and silences 7.6% faster at 600 gear score. I do believe it also gets you out of roots faster, and I'll show you why when you see the IG stuff. But, so if you throw 5 of these on, so you run a 5 set of Freedom, this is now going to give you a 38% faster, so about 40% faster, you will be out of this CC. So in the current meta of Great Axe, throwing the grav well, or stunning with the hammer, or using ice shower and ice storm with the ice gauntlet, this gear set is going to absolutely save your life. It is a very defensive setup. You don't have as much output, but you can stay alive pretty well and avoid the majority of CC. So what would I say for total perks? Here's my rule. Grab, depending on what build you're using, grab your Accelerating Light's Embrace, grab your Beacon perk or your Orb perk, and then grab your Sacred Ground perk. Always have your 3 ability perks as your healer, and then the rest of the gear just supplement it with Freedom, right? So I have like that and Freedom, that and Freedom. I have more Freedom pieces here. Freedom, right? Freedom. And like you stack it, and as soon as you have that 5 set, you will notice a significant difference in your survivability. That is for sure. So let me show you some footage quick on why it is good. All right, gamers, so I'm here with my friend Taka, and I'm going to show you why Freedom Gear is part of the PvP healer meta right now. Freedom, when you're Freedom stacking, it is insane with the current amount of CC in PvP. So, 1, you see a lot of hammer stuns. So I'm going to show you, most people, when they have a hammer, they're going to shockwave you, then set up a heavy. So when you have full Freedom Gear, here's what happens. And then you queue up your heavy, and he can get out of it, okay? So he could riposte there, he can dodge back. You don't get hit by the follow-up if you have enough Freedom Gear. It starts around like 4-piece, maybe 5-piece, but you should start seeing some really solid 4-piece stuff. All right, next we're going to go with the OG Shockwave setup, not what with people using all the newer stuff. This is going to be Wrecking Ball into Shockwave. So I'll walk up, I'll do this, and I'll start to set this up, and he can still get out of it. Look at that. Isn't that crazy? And that's because of Freedom Gear. And now let's say, okay, you are a Ice Gauntlet user, right? Not just hammer, okay? You're going to run this Ice Gauntlet. We see a lot of walls. We see a lot of heavy roots, right? You throw down an Ice Storm and hit them with the heavy. Well, what else happens? So you'll see he's in Freedom Gear, right? This also works on slows and roots, so we're going to hit him like this. And then I throw the root on him. Look at how fast he can get out of that root. Isn't that crazy? Like, honestly. And now the last one, I'm just going to hit him with a quick Ice Shower and just show you how fast he gets out of that. And look, it's already off. That is why you can run Freedom Gear. Now, it's going to be more defensive, give you a little bit more survivability to get out of this current meta, but Freedom Gear is nuts. All right, gear set number 2. This is the, I want to call it the higher output, but full refreshing build. So what does that mean? I have refreshing on my helmet, chest, gloves, pants, boots, and I also have it on my neck. I have it on my earring. I don't have it on my ring. I have it on my life staff. So essentially, I'm missing 2 pieces of refreshing gear that I'm trying to finesse in here. Why do I run this build? So it affects all of our cooldowns, both rapier and the life staff, meaning I can have higher output, but I also have more room for survivability because my cooldowns are constantly back up on my rapier as well. And especially after the rapier being nerfed, this really helps to supplement those changes in cooldown so that it feels pretty normal and there isn't much of a difference. But then again, at the same time, my life staff is able to put out so many spells so much faster. So let me just show you, actually, if you look at these tooltips, in your weapon mastery, we go to life staff. My beacon cooldown, 26-9. My light's embrace, 3-1. My sacred ground is a 15-4. I go to my rapier, 15-4, 9-2, 13-9. Now let's take off all of my gear and let's look at the cooldown reduction and see what is our cooldown at. So we go here and then we open this up. 35 flat. Okay, that's already big. 4. So this is our down a second, but that's still a big change. And then 20. So this has 5 seconds off. Right? So 5 seconds off SG. We have almost 10 off beacon, and then we start to throw in our extra cooldown stuff and our refreshing move on our life staff. It's getting up even faster. Let's go rapier. This is down 5 seconds. This is down a couple seconds. And then this is down 3 seconds, right? Those cooldowns, even though, you know, it's only a couple seconds, those do matter a ton. And so when you're trying to survive and you're trying to live and still have a ton of output, like I can get to the point where I have 2 beacons out simultaneously, right? If I hit enough light attacks. It's absurd. So I prefer this cooldown setup. And I'm going to walk through my gearing at the end of the video. And my final build that I would suggest, and that I don't actually have, but that would be very, very, very effective, especially if you have Hardy on your ring. I think a full refreshing evasion build would be absolutely insane. So let's just say, you know, you have refreshing evasion on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces. We could get about kind of almost 8% cooldown reduction per dodge, okay? And so if you really min-max your dodges, you keep rolling, you can get a ton of forced cooldown reduction. Given you have Hardy on your ring, you have your rapier to get more stamina back. You have all kinds of stuff, but you are constantly rolling around as a healer. If you watch any of my footage, I am, you know, doing like this roll thing where I'm going in a circle, but I'm still stationary because I want to make sure my bend light is active. I want to make sure that, you know, I'm slippery a little bit. I'm not just standing still. And so if you really force these rolls with refreshing evasion, you will have a ton of cooldown reduction, right? You can typically get like 3 rolls in a really quick little instance. That's almost 25% cooldown reduction right there if you hit all 3, right? Plus all the other passive stuff you're getting from like refreshing move and your life staff tree. And so I think the cooldown reduction, if this is what you prefer, honestly, I prefer flat refreshing. In my opinion, I just prefer it. So that's what I like to run. But I think if you're more of a active kind of player wanting to roll around, do that kind of stuff, a full refreshing evasion build is insane. Absolutely insane to have. And I would definitely run that as a second build. And that's one I want to get built up so that I can really test the differences between the two. But I think right now in PvP, cooldown is king. So I want to say one more thing. A lot of you are probably asking, why do I not have a full Resil set for PvP? Why do I not run like a full aversion, like elemental aversion, because physical aversion is kind of bad, but why do I not run a full Ellie aversion set? That's because in the current meta with Gravwell and with everything else, and if you're running light armor, right now, if I get caught, I'm going to die. No amount of Resil is going to save me. No amount of elemental aversion is going to save me in light gear. I'm going to get smacked. And the whole thing when you're playing these kinds of builds is that you have to get away with your rapier. So let me just show you, like if we look up Resil, okay, how much Resil is actually on one piece. So here it is. I can't find it. There we go. So we look up resilient, okay, and we'll just sort it by max and just give you a max gear score one, right? 4.8% less damage. And now this will only roll on your armor pieces. So that's about 24, 25%. Let's say I get hit for 4K, a crit. It'll remove about 1,000. But let's say I've gotten put into a situation where I'm actually getting hit like that. Let's say I'm in a grav well. Let's say I'm getting ping ponged. Let's say I've gotten hit by an ice shower. That is not going to save me. And so honestly, I think the best thing you can do is either run cooldown gear or you can run freedom gear. And I just don't think Resil even has a point, because at the point at which you want your Resil to be effective, it does nothing for a light armor healer. That's my personal opinion. And the same kind of theory applies to physical and elemental aversion. So that is why I suggest not using Resil gear. All right, so last thing. What do I believe to be the best set? What do I run? And I want to say this is all up to your preference. Out of these top 3, or maybe you run a heavy armor, like super tanky build. You do your thing, and like maybe that would be good with Resil gear, but not with my theory of healing and the way I do it. So what do I run? Let's give you a Lemoni gear breakdown, because I get this in Twitch chat constantly. 1, my helmet, my gear, and I want to preface this. My gear, I've recently swapped it all. I've recently swapped all of my gear, and I'm in the process of re-upgrading, resetting, all that stuff. So I have Revitalizing Beacon because I need that perk, and then I have Refreshing, so cooldown reduction. Chest, I take Refreshing Flesh. Why do I take that? Because this is actually absurd when you hit more than one person in the back with a dash, and it resets a ton of the cooldown, and then I take Refreshing. And then here, some gloves. I have Fortifying Sacred Ground and Refreshing, and then it rolled with Vigor as well, so it's pretty solid. Pants, I have Invigorated. Don't really love that, but Refreshing. It was just a cheap piece I could fit like mega Refreshing with. Boots, I have Angry Earth Ward on, actually. I'm in the process of re-rolling my boots, don't worry. I have Accelerating LE and Refreshing with Angry Earth Ward. Not the greatest, it's a 2-perker. My neck, I have Refreshing and Health. My ring, I have Hardy Sacred. This is the best roll you can possibly get. We want a 3-perker, but if you're looking for 2 perks and you can get a Hardy Sacred, take it. Then I'm running Misty Kismet, so I have Refreshing Evasion, and Purifying Toast. I don't really love Purifying Toast. Like it's okay, but the 1 debuff is kind of a waste on an earring. Like I could get Regenerating or something. Then I'm running Will of the Ancients, best life staff in the game. Just go get it. My Rapier needs some work. If I could finesse like some kind of cooldown reduction, I don't think you can actually roll Refreshing on a Rapier. I could be wrong. But my Rapier needs a little bit of a reroll. I just run Sundering Riposte on here. So I run 2-perk Rapier because I can set up kills with Sundering Riposte, and I can get cooldown reduction on one of my greatest escapes. So we might as well take it. There's been so many times where throwing that rend on somebody helps to just secure a kill after the stun, and it's fantastic. So just make sure you have a full focus Rapier though. And that is the Lemoni gearing. I'll make this a command in Twitch chat. But that's what I believe to be the best, is the full Refreshing output cooldown reduction build. All right, so that's all I have for you today. I appreciate all of you watching. I want to hear back from you. How do you feel about these builds? What do you run? What kind of stuff do you think is the best, right? Do you run a heavy armor set? I want to hear about it. Tell me about it. If you want to keep doing that weird YouTube stuff, please keep liking, commenting, and subscribing, and ringing that bell, telling your grandparents. I would appreciate it. Tell everybody you know. If you want to follow us on our socials, go ahead. We do stream on Twitch Monday, Wednesday, Friday, starting around 11 a.m. Central Time, and I'll have this video out pretty close to the start time today. But yeah, if you want to support me directly too, feel free to hit up my Patreon, all that stuff. We have a ton of good stream content right now being Amarama. I've been streaming wars pretty much every day. Our next war stream will probably be Thursday, but then we'll just have some OPR stuff today. Expect more videos the rest of the week. I want to cover actual build stuff and PvP war meta because I've been doing so many of them. I kind of have a good feel for it now. But that's for later in the week. So hopefully this helps you. Hopefully this gives some of you clarity on how to gear. But as always, thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. And thank you to every single one of you for being you. Peace.